Dear friends, we continue our potato tour across Russia, and now we are in the Republic of Tatarstan visiting. Let's go to our general partners, the company Avgust, and take a look.
About our enterprise. Here we see a model of our factory, and we are currently located right here. In this part, between building sections 1 and 2, this is the administrative and utility building to understand the operation principle of the enterprise, which is located under one roof. The third building, numbered, is the raw material components warehouse. Here we unload all the bulk and liquid raw materials that arrive in barrels and cubes. Bulk raw materials. We unload the body into the warehouse, where we store large containers for solvents and components that are delivered in bulk. Building 4 is for the production of polymer containers. The 5th building is for herbicide production. The 6th building is for the production of fungicides, insecticides, and seed treatments. Of seeds, that is, the raw materials come to our production buildings where the product is manufactured, packaged, and then sent to this large building, which is the finished goods warehouse. Why such a large warehouse? Because consumers mainly need most of our products in the spring period, so we work a lot in the warehouse during the winter and spring to immediately provide the entire volume and assortment to consumers at the right time. In principle, it's very convenient logistics because there's no need to move raw components from different warehouses and the flows don't intersect. That is, the raw materials come in here, we produce, and everything automatically goes to the warehouse. Regarding the working principle and how we produce the products, we will show you on site. Now I suggest we go up to the 2nd floor. We will first visit the NPC laboratory.
It's pretty much the same there. You could say, if someone caught on at the university, it's the same here too. Look at the red canister. It's a fascinating process.
We have arrived at the sample handover point. Here, the operator from production brings a sample and hands it over to the lab technician. So how does this process work? When taking samples, we immediately print a label with a barcode. During the scanning of this label, we confirm that we have taken the sample, and this confirms the handover of the sample for quality control. So the operator comes here, scans the barcode, and thereby hands it over for control. We take into account both the time of sample control and the fact that this sample is also recorded. The results of the sample are entered into the SAP. This generally allows for full tracking, complete traceability of the products. We saw a small model of our building downstairs, and now you can see the scale. This large part, 2 such buildings, is all the raw material warehouse. We accept raw materials, both of Russian production and imported, because inside this warehouse we have a temporary storage area that is before customs clearance. So we place imported raw materials here, then clear customs, and afterwards transfer them to production. Here we have the engineering section. This is where the water treatment, refrigeration units for the production process, and further production buildings where we manufacture our products are located. And further on, which you see long, it's not visible because of the gallery. Yes, but there is a very large building. These are the storage facilities. Well, we will go there and take a look. Inside, all the buildings are connected by 2 galleries, so you can reach any building without going outside. The exception is the LZ warehouse, where we store solvents, which is separately located. And also in this building, we have 2 galleries that do not pass through the production buildings, but rather through the remote area parts, so that people, without entering the production area, can access the warehouse for polymer containers or move to the warehouse LJ. Let's move on. Now we have entered the central control room, where 2 operators work. Each has their own automated workstation with which we can manage the process. In the production of fungicides, we make Baraneo. Here, we will see all of this. If there are any questions, I am ready to answer.
It is clear that this shelving storage is organized specifically for storing raw materials in glasses, tanks, and baths. That is what I picked. I did not pour.
In 2015, we really felt the need to increase production capacity. In Belarus, I have a limit of about 12 million liters in urns. The capacity, of course, is not very large to make up to 30, but there. Mikhailovich spoke to quite a large circle. We produce equipment, so that's why it was lacking. A decision was made for large-scale production of new modern capacities.
We simply needed space for the construction of new workshops. About 15 hectares of free land was available nearby. When we started auditing this land, it turned out that there were about 70 owners of this land. Some of them exist, some of them are unknown, some of them have died and the heirs have not claimed ownership. And the auditing company told us that it would take you about 5-7 years to sort this out, as you will be searching there. And again, some heirs might emerge for these land plots who will say, a factory was built, now buy it out for crazy money. In general, it's such a hassle, and accordingly we started exploring other options. Someone suggested to us that there is a special economic zone called Alabuga. At that time, I don't remember how many special economic zones there were in Russia.
30. Including gaming ones, about 6.
And we came here further, Vladimir Morkovsky.
Yes, we visited, of course, various zones, but in terms of readiness, in terms of provision.
Not only with tax benefits, but also with physical capabilities.
No, the tax benefit is the same for everyone due to federal law. But in terms of the readiness of sites, the provision of infrastructure for residents so they can start their business, it was even possible to deduct them from the rent. Or accordingly, Greenfield here had the best level of readiness and experience already. The point is, what about the plot boundary? Here, on 7 hectares, they offered us a plot, all communications at the plot boundary. Connection is free. Electricity, including usually for electricity, you pay. Memory does not fail, a lot. Yes, a lot of temporary share. So gas, heating, sewage, domestic sewage, storm sewage, everything at the plot boundary connection is free. The cost of renting a land plot of 17.7 hectares is 1.3 million per year. The process of passing the procedure to become a resident, accordingly, obtaining a construction permit, took us half a year. We became a resident in 2016. We drove the first piles in the spring of 2017. In May 2019, we started producing the first products, and the grand opening with the participation of the President of our Republic, currently Raiza, Rustam, Nurgalievich, Nihanov, and representatives of the Russian Ministry of Industry. The plant was opened in June of 2019. As of today, we produce 25.5 million liters living through the season from September to August, although already now in operations. The design capacity is 50 million. You might wonder why, where is the rest? This is our stage, the next development both in Russia and abroad, because we need to build a new plant as it is growing. The indicators or August each year increase by 10 to 15% in volumes, not in money. Therefore, after some time, we will again build a new plant. Putting effort into it, probably, of course, it will come to that.
I would also add that we are still actively developing abroad. Until recently, until last year, 109 in the federal law on the safe handling of pesticides and agrochemicals did not allow the production of plant protection products that are not registered in the Russian Federation. That is even for export purposes, some product for bananas or defoliant. For cotton, not registered. You can't produce it, and to register in Russia a defoliant for cotton, considering that in Russia cotton is grown on, I don't know, 1,000, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000 hectares, spending 100 million rubles on this, well, it's a pointless endeavor. Therefore, we were forced to produce a number of products outside of Russia or at our facility in Belarus. This possibility exists to produce unregistered products in Belarus for export purposes or at outsourcing sites. And accordingly, now the legislation has changed. Well, there you go. The corresponding decisions were made at the end of last year. I think this year all the regulatory mechanisms will be launched and it will be possible to produce here as well, including the same defoliants for Brazil for cotton defoliation. So in this regard, we hope that this will also allow us to expand production.
As a result of the assistance from the Republic and the managing company of our economic zone, we implemented the project quite quickly, promptly. All the tax benefits promised by the federal law are provided in full. Questions about reimbursement or return. There are no issues with reimbursement or refunding.
The company is a market leader among retirees in imperative forms, not China, India, and Russia. In Russia, we have been leading, you could say, since the end of the last century, since 1999. In terms of revenue, we occupy either the first or second place, and in terms of area, we are always first. We are also currently first in Belarus and Kazakhstan. And in distant foreign countries, you can see on the map the countries where we are present in one way or another, primarily in Latin America, in Ecuador, in Peru. In Colombia, we are among the top 10 companies in pesticide supply. And in Brazil, as I have already mentioned, our distributors today do not include companies like Bayer, Crop Science, and Sumitomo. Since the market is volatile, determining prices, and who considers what is quite difficult, to understand whether we are growing, pitching, or declining, we calculate our sales in terms of single treatment areas. And accordingly, we understand, in reality, so to speak, in these parrots, how much we are real or how much we are virtual. Consulting star companies to make it clear, they evaluate the Russian market in terms of single treatment areas at approximately 240, 250 million hectares. Our Ministry of Agriculture believes we have 80 million hectares. The actual sown areas, if you subtract the annual and perennial grasses, are about 66 million hectares. So if 6 million hectares are what fall under actual treatments, because perennial and annual grasses are practically not treated. So not accordingly. Every hectare, on average, we treat it about 4 times. Well, from the perspective of consulting companies, but they poorly account for glyphosate, poorly account for DEQUAT, poorly account for new products, and so on and so forth. Therefore, somewhere around 300 million are the actual single treatment areas. So every 4th hectare, if you believe the consultants, or every 5th hectare, if you consider the market a bit larger than the consultants do, that's our share. In the Russian market, presence in 30 countries, a bunch of companies abroad. So accordingly, this map is more up to date. Yellow indicates where we are already implementing. Green indicates where we are in the process of registration. But again, if we talk about real large sales, for now, excluding the countries of the former Soviet Union, it's Latin America. In Latin America, we currently have a large team working, about 200 people across different countries. The large teams are, again, mainly in Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador, where we have significant direct sales and a large range of products. The product package there differs from the Russian one due to national, climatic, cultural specifics and issues. They are slightly different there. If in Russia the market is primarily for herbicides followed by fungicides and then insecticides, in Latin America, herbicides usually take the last place, while insecticides and fungicides are first and second. We have a fairly large consulting service Maybe it doesn't reach everyone, as we found out, but overall, who does it reach? There are all sorts of mobile applications and services. There are such rumors, unconfirmed by anything, that the company August is the initiator of Saturn, which is completely untrue. I always say, like in Shiva's bath, that Saturn must be destroyed because it does not solve the tasks that were set before it, does not fight against counterfeiting, does not provide real information in the system about the use of products, pesticides, agrochemicals, toxic mixtures in the fields, and in accordance with the fact that it does not contribute to the safety of crop production. The fact is, at the request of several of our major partners, holdings, first and foremost, we built our own product labeling system. Each individual storage unit is marked with a unique date code. Each individual canister, bag, they are date coded by us. And there are software products that allow, with the help of, so to speak, a reader, either a separate one or it's a regular phone, to verify the authenticity of the product, ensuring it's not a counterfeit, and accordingly to use the information applied to canisters, boxes, or pallets for inventory management. There is also a service for tracking the movement of products, X, which is completely free and quite convenient. Perhaps because we built the track and trace system within the GS1 system, a system for tracking our products. Some might think that we are behind Saturn. We launched all this before Saturn, before anything else. Vladimir Lvovich can confirm this. Today you can see all of this in production. There you go. We have our own laboratory for comprehensive agronomic analysis. They are involved in agrochemistry, phytopathology, and seed analysis. Well, they also solve practical tasks for our partners, and we try to engage them with some scientific, so to speak, scientific functionality, because agriculture has significantly changed in recent years in terms of productivity, in terms of new opportunities to achieve various yields. Some basic things science already knows how to do, calculate, and understand, but some things it doesn't yet. There are many questions. We are trying to comprehend and solve them in these laboratories, so to speak, perhaps to benefit ourselves and our partners in the future. So we publish a newspaper. The newspaper Field of August is considered the most popular periodical among agronomists in the Russian Federation. This is not my point of view. We periodically consult various advisors who conduct independent research for us on how agricultural communities perceive us. These are the data we receive from them. As for production, we have 3 formulation plants, and the company August is currently the only company in Russia that has full-scale production of active ingredients for plant protection products. Built in China, in the Hubei province near Wuhan. We are periodically asked the question, so what are you, so to speak? This import substitution was not done in Russia, but the plant was built in China. Unfortunately, directly from gas, water, oil. It is impossible to produce active ingredients for pesticides. Small-scale chemistry is needed. China is currently a major chemical factory of the world. There, the small-scale chemistry is available. In Russia, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, unfortunately, competencies and production capacities were significantly lost. Many things were missing when we started building the plant. Now the situation is changing. In principle, it should have started changing in 2017 when the program for import substitution and recovery, including small-scale chemistry, was adopted. But from 2017 to 2022, there were no significant movements. After 2022, movements began, albeit slowly. And I think after some time, some active substances will actually be synthesized in Russia. Initially a small set. We are also looking into this matter. Perhaps we will do something in the medium term. But for now, our plant had plans, so to speak, 37 product names. Not everything is fully operational yet. Currently, I believe 6 or 7 products are being produced. We fully supply ourselves with our own tebuconazole as a result. We have a large share of our own propiconazole and several other active substances, including some active substances. We sell some externally. And the plant you are currently at is Avgust Alabuga. So this is how it looks from above, and you will now see how it looks from the inside. I won't, so to speak. This is our most modern plant. Our base plant where we started, the Tvernarak plant, will be celebrating this year. How many years? 90 years. No, wait. 90 years. 90 years. Yes, in general. Well, despite the fact that this plant is 90 years old, from the plant we came to in the mid-90s, you could say nothing remains. Some walls here and there. It has been completely rebuilt, completely re-equipped. It was a plant that only produced powders. At the time when we arrived there, no. In terms of production capabilities, it is our most versatile plant, capable of doing everything. Alabuga is a modern plant, but for example, we don't produce either WDG or SP here. In Belarus, the plant was also built in this century. It also cannot produce powders or WDG. Vordery can produce both liquid forms, any kind, and water dispersible granules, which is the most complex formulation, as well as wettable powders. The August plant also was a greenfield plant built from scratch. There were certain preferences at the time for investors in Belarus, and we also lacked production capacities. The plant is also quite advanced. It's brand new, but it doesn't produce all formulation types. We opened the logistics center at the end of last year, but there hasn't been an official opening yet. Since our guests are from the central Black Earth region, when traveling on the M4, they should periodically see it. Our sign lights up in the evening. It's beautiful, though I haven't seen it myself yet, as I haven't passed by when it's lit up. And the scientific center? The fact is, our development center is located in Moscow on rented premises for many years now, which undoubtedly has its inconveniences. Especially, so to speak, these rented premises are located at a facility associated with the defense industry, which now accordingly also has certain drawbacks. We cannot bring any foreign specialist onto the premises, for example. This is prohibited, and so on and so forth. In general, several years ago, we realized that we need to build essentially a new, not only our research center, a new institute for the development of necessary components and active substances for formulations in the field of plant protection. Accordingly, this is approximately how it looks. Now, this is from winter photographs. We are supposed to open it this year, in the middle of summer somewhere. So, to speak in advance, I invite all participants of our tour to visit. You probably visit Moscow more often than Alabuga. So, what will it be doing? 25,000 square meters. 25,000 square meters without the greenhouse. There will also be a greenhouse, and it will also be there. A laboratory for comprehensive agronomic analysis. The chemical cluster will be engaged in the development of the synthesis of existing active ingredients. Maybe we'll create some new products, maybe some co-formulants. We will be developing, which is also relevant now considering the restrictions and sanctions, a very large biological cluster. We will have more than 30 artificial climate laboratories. Some of them are already, most of them are installed, and they will test accordingly our products and work on formulation forms, testing them for biological activity against various harmful objects. And here is one of our relatively recent investment projects in the Alabuga Special Economic Zone, where also the general director is Vladimir Lvovich, the plant for the production of sleeves for grain storage Avgust polymer, before the start of the special military operation. A significant share of the sleeves, they were supplied to Russia from Ukraine. For obvious reasons, these supplies have stopped. In Russia, Unfortunately, there is no such quality production, quality sleeves.
You probably saw it. When you drove in, there's just a high-rise in our colors standing against the backdrop of our plant. August, it's a 40-meter high building like a column.
That's where the casting of Russian polymers will take place.
Film blowing accordingly where they...
Well, actually, it's literally shown here.
No, it's just a blow molding machine, 2 meters in diameter, so-called, to say on miracles. The die head punches and blows up to 5 meters in width diameter. The film sleeve is immediately blown. And there is full polymerization. It is pulled up to 120 meters and then accordingly folded and only lowered down. Therefore, the equipment height is 34 meters.
But it cools down while going up and setting.
Well, semi-polymerization occurs, then it is folded.
Besides sleeves for grain storage, this equipment will also allow us to make various covering films for silage.
Silage, covering, protective, technical films, greenhouse films can be made.
Our management and our main shareholder are patriots of Russia. We have no offshore accounts. We do not generate profit somewhere abroad. The main profit centers are in Russia. Honestly, wherever we go, we usually support relevant social projects. Corporate social responsibility is not something that the country's leadership demands from us or anything else. The company owners believe that it is the right thing to do. If we tie our fate to this country, we would like it to be comfortable here. And that's why we build quite a lot of social facilities. Most of them are built in Vernary, due to the fact that we started our activities there earlier. You can also come to Vernary to see it. There is a swimming pool, a stadium, numerous sports facilities, a park, and so on. We are also involved in housing there. In Chernogolovka, we built a school. It is already functioning as well. Well, when you come to see the opening of NICE, make sure to visit the school too. The research center is just... When you say NITs, and to people who aren't very familiar, they later say that in Nice, on the Mediterranean coast, the company August is building something there. They've completely lost it, have nowhere to spend their money. No, and it's a research center in this case. Abramovich wanted to buy our club Kimmich, but we're not selling yet, waiting for it to increase in value. Well, that's a joke. Who knows, later on, people will tell all sorts of things. This is what our social projects look like in Vernary, Chuvashia. Well, kind of like August on social media. Thank you. It's easier to grow with you. So in short, that's it.